So in the last movie, you learn about SQL injection and how you can prevent it. Now in this movie, we will use PDO named parameter in order to prevent SQL injection. So let's do it. So now adding values to these column. So I will use the named parameter here. These named parameter will be completely dummy one. So first one will be ename. Then we will have our named parameter of s s n and adding the colon. Then we will have our named parameter of dep with the capital T. Then we will have our named parameter of salary with the capital Y, adding colon. Then home address with the capital S at the end. Let's make this one capital E at the end and N to be lower one. So in the previous MySQL and MySQLi, we put our values directly here and add the SQL injection function to sanitize our SQL. But in PDO, we don't have to add any function. We can simply use the dummy name here instead of putting these direct variable. Now this will be it for our SQL query. So adding semicolon. Now on the next line, first we will prepare our SQL. So I will add this variable stmt that will use our database connection, which has the name of connecting DB, and it will prepare this SQL by using the prepare function. So putting our SQL here. Then on the next line, we have to define these dummy names. So by using this stmt object, whenever you see this arrow operator in PDO, it means that we are using some variable as a object. So here we are using this connecting DB variable as a object and calling the method or function of prepare. Now we will use this stmt as an object. So adding the arrow operator, dash and angle bracket, and calling the method of bind value. And here I have to define this named parameter. So inside this function of bind value, I can put this ename with the capital E at the end inside single quote, and here I have to put the actual value which I am receiving from my form, and that is this variable of ename. Then same like this, we will define another named parameter. So calling the method of bind value and defining this named parameter of ssn, this named parameter, and adding the colon here. Also we need colon here. Then putting the actual variable, that is this ssn. So same like this, copying this one, pasting it, and now making it for this dept with the capital T and putting our variable of dept here, this variable of dept. Then for salary, named parameter with the capital Y and putting this variable of salary here. Then for home address with the capital S at the end and putting the variable of home address. So I use these type of style on these named parameter. Instead of ename, you can add some other dummy variable. You can add your own name. So I can make it ename Jazib if I like, but I have to put the Jazib here as well to define this one completely. So you can put any name you like here in the named parameter, but make sure that it should match in the bind value function. So after binding my value, I can have this variable execute, and that variable use this stmt object and call the PDO method of execute. So that's it for inserting our data inside our database. So on the next line I will have this if condition in which I can put this execute variable, and I can say that if this execute true, if it's successful, then you should echo one message, record has been added successfully. And now let's also add one span tag with some class. So the class I'm gonna use will be success, adding the ending of span tag here. Now let's add the style to this class of success. So in my file of style.css, pasting some style for this class of success right at the end. So I did a color, font family, font size, and font weight. So let's save this file of insert into database.php. So the idea is when we will click on the submit button, all of this code will going to execute. And in case if we add the data inside our table of emp underscore record, then we will have this echo of record has been added successfully. So we are wrapping this whole submit button here, starting from line 3 to line 26. So if I save this one, refresh my page, so giving some employee name of Jazib, social security number, department HR, salary this one, address Sydney, submit my record. You can see I got the error on line 5, undefined e name. So what's the error on line 5? So I wrongly mentioned this field name e name, which is not correct. If I can confirm for my form, so you can see we have this field with the name of e and capital N name. So I have to mention this here, capital N, saving this one. So if I refresh my page and submit the same data again, you can see I got the message, record has been added successfully. So if I click on the browse tab of this table emp record inside this database of record, you can see I got this data in my table. So I make this salary column int type. Let's reconfirm from my structure tab. You can see int 10. So instead of adding the int type, if I add something like characters, so giving some name of Akram, some data, and salary will be nothing, home address, submit my record. You can see it says record has been added successfully. So if I click browse, in the salary column we are getting this 0, not the nothing character. So apply validation on your script so that the user cannot add the characters on these specific columns. So I'm gonna leave that validations to you. Those ones are quite easy and you have the skills to do that. Use the lecture of our form chapter and add the validation so that you would not have any wrong data in your database. So that's it for adding record inside our database.